Us and our weekly Tuesday morning coffee with the candidates. And again, a big thank you to Rudy. Rudy, you just don't get enough credit for setting all of these up. Okay, everybody, fill your coffee cup. All right. Okay, this morning we have Adam Ganz joining us. But before we start talking to Adam Ganz, I want to remind everyone that we do have our lunch tomorrow, October 7th. I know it's not a Tuesday, but the health department decided to shut down the Ahern kitchen for today, Tuesday. So that's why we have to move our luncheon. Our luncheon again is tomorrow, Wednesday, at the Ahern Hotel and Convention Center starting at 11 a.m. And tickets are available for purchase until about 10 a.m. today. So if you haven't purchased your ticket yet, purchase it now. Also want to remind everyone that on Friday, October 16th, we have our autumn evening social with Wayne Allen Root starting at 6 p.m. over at the Ahern lobby and pool area. It's going to be a beautiful night. We're going to have terrific company and terrific food. I even tasted the food, so it's actually really good. So please come one and all. And I just want to remind everyone that November 3rd is Election Day. I hope all of you will be voting during the early voting period from October 17th until November 1st. That way you can get your ballot in person at one of the polling places. And finally, because our first Tuesday is on November 3rd, which is Election Day, we are going to have our monthly luncheon on November 10th. That's the following week. Okay, now that all of that housekeeping stuff is done, Adam, welcome to our Tuesday morning coffee. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, well, thank you for having me. It's been fun to attend these and then watch a couple that I missed online. So my name's Adam Ganz. I'm running for District Court Judge in Department 3. I'm a lifelong Las Vegas resident. Parents moved out here in the early 70s, and I want to serve as a district court judge, not for a pay raise or for a better job or promotion or anything like that, but I want to give back to our community, the community that I grew up in, the community that has given me and my family so much over the years. And like I said, my parents moved here. Sorry, I got something in my contact here. Wow, sorry. My parents moved out here, like I said, in the 70s, and when I was just a couple years old. So I can't say I'm born and raised, but I've definitely been here most of my life. My father, he came to this country at a young age and as a first-generation American. And my parents, they got into the casino industry when they moved here. My dad was a craft supervisor, and my mother as a waitress. My uncle was in the casino industry, second in command over at Caesar's Palace back in the early 80s as well. And I went to public schools, graduating from Bonanza High School. There weren't as many private schools back in the day, but I went to Bonanza High School and Cashman Middle School. And we were in sixth grade centers back in the day. For people who've been here a long time, they used to bus us to across town for sixth grade. It was kind of a weird experience, but did that over at CBT Gilbert. And one of the things that people don't know about me, and something interesting about me, but I actually left home when I was about 15 and a half. My parents opened up a small business when I was young, and my parents were going through divorce, and I felt like I was in between them. And I left home for a while at 15 and a half and couch surf with some friends for a while I worked the graveyard shift at Food for Less, while I still went to high school, still did athletics at high school, and ultimately graduated high school at age 17 and started college at age 17. Moved away for college and put myself through college. And then I also put myself through law school. I've since reconciled with my parents, and you know, I have some fond memories of building that relationship back up with my parents again. But it was important to me to accomplish college and law school because I was the first in my family to graduate from college. Immediately after law school, in 1998, I moved back to our community here in Las Vegas, where I got married to my wife of almost 23 years now, and soon thereafter we started and raised a family. My twins, I have a set of twins, Adam and Sydney. who are over 18 now, just turned 18, and they left for, my son left for college, and my daughter's currently attending college here in our house. So I'm really sorry, my contact is really bothering me. But
So you're young enough to have contacts and actually require them. I have to take my contacts out to see you.
usually I have to put some glasses over it. So I saw Doug Herndon on the other day, and he does exactly what I do all the time, which is take my glasses and put them on top of my head all the time. His fits a little bit better because he doesn't have any hair. But anyway, so after I moved back to Vegas, and I started my professional career as well, all within 6 months, I got married, passed the bar, and started practicing law all within 6 months. It was quite the experience for me in '98. But that's when I started practicing law. And as a lawyer here in the community, since day one, I have served as a civil litigation trial attorney. We got into heavy litigation work and complex matters. I've always represented people. I have represented insurance companies. Actually, my very first trial I ever did was up in Reno. We were representing an insurance company at the time in a bad faith insurance practice matter. But the majority of my career has been on the other side of that, representing individuals and people, trying to hold people accountable for wrongdoing. And throughout my career, I've represented thousands of clients over the years, but I have a passion for representing children. And part of my civil practice allows me to also represent children who've been abused and neglected, either in the foster care system or at our schools. Because when you drop your child off at school, you expect that they're going to come back safe. And sometimes it doesn't happen for a variety of reasons. And we've held whoever's been accountable for that for many, many years. We've held them accountable. And I've sued, many complex litigations, including helicopters. We've had some helicopter cases, street designs, heavy litigation. And I've sued a number of different insurance companies. Like I said, I also represented them, but I've also sued them when they don't treat us well either, when they're not holding up to their end of the bargain. I've also argued in front of the Nevada Supreme Court, Nevada Appeals Court, have published opinions. I've also been licensed in Arizona and New Mexico for years. So I've tried cases in Arizona and argued in front of the Arizona Appeals Court, the Arizona Supreme Court. And then recently, the reason why I couldn't attend, and I appreciate you guys moving my coffee is because I was arguing in front of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And that had to do with a client who was abused and neglected while she was in care and custody of a foster care system. As a matter of fact, she was killed while in the foster care system. And we were arguing in front of the Ninth Circuit on that particular case. So during my 20 years of litigation, I've worked on some of the most complex and difficult matters that you can imagine. And it certainly has given me that background that I believe you need. Because as a judge, in my opinion, it is not the stepping stone to building your career, but it's the cornerstone. And it's something you do after, really having a long-extended practice that you can have. My opponent was a freshman in high school when I started practicing law. I have twice as many years of experience practicing law as her, and certainly a wider breadth of area of law than she practices in as well. I also am the only one with judicial experience. I've actually sat as a justice of the peace pro tem here in Clark County. I still sit as a court-appointed arbitrator, which I've done for more than 10 or 15 years, and short trial judge on smaller matters as well. And certainly as a mediator and helping out people trying to resolve matters. And then lastly, in addition to my legal experience, I have been, and I'm currently a small business owner. I have run several businesses in my professional career, as well as having sat on several nonprofit boards in our community, such as, the Little League. And I have experiences with different youth organizations as well as another nonprofit that I'm still sitting on. It's called Got Core Values, which is trying to make our schools better. So knowing that we need qualified judges on the bench, I believe my business experience, my litigation, and my trial experience in my volunteer work in a variety of areas makes me uniquely qualified and the most qualified to serve as your next judge.
Wow. Adam, you are completely qualified. You are so qualified as a judge. I'm really impressed by by everything that you've done. And just full disclosure, I got to know you about 20 years ago when you were uh, my father-in-law's attorney on a personal injury case, and you did such a great job as a young attorney. I think that was back in '98. That's right after
Yeah.
law school, right when you graduated, right?
Right after law school, and it lasted for a couple of years, but that was a very complex situation, which most people wouldn't think of as a personal injury, but it was a unique case that actually took us all the way across the country. We were trying depositions, or excuse me, taking depositions all the way across the country, dealing with metal and copper, and it was a very unique situation. But you know, and I know that your father-in-law passed away several years ago, but he was. It was very nice to get to know your family that way, and I will say that your husband is still my cardiologist. So full disclosure to everybody, he's a great doctor in town and has been for a while. So.
Thanks, Adam. I'll let him know that you said that. Okay, so what is your judicial philosophy? Because that's really something that's pretty important to us.
Sure. I'm a strict constructionist. I believe that the drafters of our Constitution meant every word that they wrote, and that is probably one of my most conservative attributes that I have. I believe that they had set up a procedure that if people don't like the way the Constitution is written, then they can change it. And it's not for judges to do that. And I've always felt that way. And that started when I was in law school. I had a professor, one of my classes that I had, I actually got the, what they call AmJur. If people don't know what that means, it's the highest grade in the class for a class on the Supreme Court. And my professor was a previous law clerk to Justice Scalia. And maybe that's where it kind of molded me toward that philosophy at that particular time. I think that I don't have any particular Supreme Court justice that I'm most fond of, but I like a lot of attributes about different justices, and as well as I think that you'll see me as a judge, I also pull from all the different judges that I've tried cases in front of and have a lot of different attributes for them and just try to continue to learn. But for me, there is a process and procedure for changing the Constitution. So I won't legislate from the bench. I believe that it's my job to follow the law. It's our legislature's job to change the law. If you don't like the law, they need to change it. So I think that there is a little gray area there. Obviously, we all know that judges have to make a decision about what it means and what it's supposed to mean. But overall, I believe that if we don't like the law, it's not a judge's job to, at least at the trial court level. You had Judge Herndon on the other day, who's running for Supreme Court. They get to make more policy decisions at that particular level when they're making decisions on those types of things. But at the trial court level, we're there to follow the law and to apply the law as it's written. And that's why I believe that I have that philosophy of being strict constructionism, as well as not, having. I do believe that judicial restraint is important as well.
I appreciate that. And how do you feel about the Second Amendment?
In the same aspect as I feel about other amendments and rights that we have. I believe, again, I will follow the law as it is written. Personally, I think that it is a person's choice to be able to make whether or not to do that. I think that the legislature is doing some things to change and alter the Second Amendment, but personally, I'm going to follow law as it's written and allow people to have what they have. If people don't like what it is, they need to change it. They can do whatever they want to do to change that. But currently, I will follow law just like I would. And maybe this is where I show a little bit more of my. I don't want to say bipartisan because I'm not running partisan, but the reality is I feel that you have to have that same exact philosophy if you're dealing with a woman's right to choose. Currently, that's the law, and I'm going to follow the law. I have my own personal views about how and what I would do, which is contrary to what many other people would do. But the reality is that I'm going to follow the law. You have a right to be able to your own body, just like you have a right to be able to have your own gun. There needs to be limitations on both, and I believe that the legislature is the place to be able to do that. So,
I really appreciate that. I think that's really important. Tell me about your trial experience. You talk about trials. Can you say how many trials you've been a lead attorney on?
So it's funny, you know, you got other people on here as well. I know John Hunt, he's probably, you stop counting after a while, unless that you need to kind of put a feather in your cap. I can tell you that typically my firm had tried anywhere from 2 to 5 trials a year, and I've done this for more than 22 years. I don't want to say I've done 100 trials. I can assure you that I've done probably more than 40, 50, 60 trials, somewhere in that range. I've been telling people that it's more than 50 trials. I went back and I tried to be able to pull up every single name on them, and I've gotten over 40 that I was able to do that on. But the reality is that it's over 50 trials for. Has been practicing, I think, 12 years now, and she has tried, I think, 11 cases, 9 of which were at first chair. And I think there is a little bit of a blend there. As I got older, I started allowing some of my associate attorneys. I came into more of a mentoring role and doing more as a second chair attorney or second chair in trials, and trying to help other attorneys try to grow. So there is a little bit of a overlap there. But I also know that she also, I don't know if your constituents know this, but she's certified 250, which means that she's one of few that are able to do death penalty cases like Judge Herndon was talking about that he started. But she's been certified for 8 years. I don't believe she's tried a single case as lead trial counsel, as a lead counsel in a capital murder case. So it's about experience, and you're absolutely right. And I've tried 6, 7 times, 5, 6, 7 times as many cases as my opponent, and I believe that will give me the basis to be a better judge in Department 3 for you.
Now, what is your criminal law experience like?
So like I said, I practiced as a justice of the peace pro tem, where I sat mostly on criminal matters, doing domestic violence criminal matters, some minor, the DUI matters, but doing some preliminary hearings and those things. I've also, over my practice, encouraged attorneys, since we have our own business, and we've employed up to 7 attorneys at one point in time, I believe, in my career. In my firm, we've also allowed them to do whatever area law that they feel comfortable with. Some have done bankruptcy, like you have done most of your career. Others decided they want to do family law, or others decided they want to do work comp, or they've decided they want to do criminal. So there's been some attorneys that I've supervised that have done criminal matters. And again, if it ever got to a trial level, I would help get involved and supervise them in doing those particular matters. And my partner has also done some criminal matters over the years as well. And I've done some criminal matters. Certainly not as many as my opponent, but the reality is that this is a department that likely, if I win, will be changed to complete civil. I believe that the judge would do that. There are many criminal judges out there, similar to Judge Atkin. I saw he was on here. I don't know if he's still on here. I don't see him anymore, but Judge Atkin and I have practiced against each other for many, many years. And he's a fine judge, and I can't endorse, obviously, but practice in front of him both as a practitioner and also as a judge. And I can tell you that he is doing all civil, because there are judges out there that have never once done a civil case that are now doing civil cases. I can name 4 or 5 of them. And the reason is for a variety of reasons, but the reality is there's 3 times as many civil cases filed every year as there are criminal cases. So we need some civil judges up there who actually have a civil background. I believe it would change for that. Certainly after several years, I'd be glad to, once I get my feet under me and we're under control, and if there's a balance that's changed within the court where we have more civil judges, I'd be glad to as an experienced judge, do some more criminal matters as well. But I think it'll be a civil department.
And besides your legal experience, you were or are a former business owner.
So I guess I am a business owner. My partner and I, Marjorie Hoff, have several businesses that we own. However, I recently sold my practice to her, and she's taken on a new partner. Marjorie used to be my law clerk, and 20-something years ago, well, maybe not that many, 18 years ago or so, she was my law clerk. And when we decided to open up our own firm, I thought it was important to partner with Marjorie for a variety of reasons, but also to champion my belief that women in our legal community need to have a position that they are partners in firms. It's very difficult in the civil litigation world. You don't see too many trial lawyer civil litigation firms that have female partners. But she and I were partners for many, many years up until recently, and she recently bought me out in anticipation for a new chapter in my life. If I don't win, then I'm gonna do something different. I haven't decided exactly what I want to do. Maybe take some time off, maybe retire for a little bit, and then make a decision on what I want to do. I'm not. Again, I said I'm not taking this position as a pay raise or any kind of. I'm taking a significant pay cut to do this, and I only say that because I want you to know that the reason why I'm doing this is certainly the appropriate reason. I'm not doing this for a better job. It's a better job in the sense that I'm going to give back to my community, and I'm going to be able to do that more, but I'm not doing it for more money is what I meant. So, and I believe that, I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Well, I know that I think your family wife may have owned another business. And what have you learned from owning that other business that will bring that kind of experience that you can bring? What kind of experience did you have that you think you can bring as a judge?
So I think judges need to have not only trial experience and courtroom experience and litigation experience, because you are a trial court position, but you also have to have life experiences as well too. And those businesses have given me that. And my volunteer work, running the Summerlin South Little League, I was a president of that league for 6 years and running a nonprofit for that many years. My businesses have, and I've been on the boards of many HOAs before as well. And it's working with different people in the community, working on budgeting, working on staffing. Those types of things are going to be important to be able to run a tight ship over there when I'm a judge. I think those experiences are important, and they will translate to making sure that we have a successful department by making sure that we're making right administrative decisions. People that haven't done that and have only been employees, I think it is going to be difficult for them to get into a leadership role and be able to understand that you have a balance between finances and giving people time off and making sure that people are happy and doing what they're supposed to be doing and all those types of things. So in addition, I invested in many other companies, so I've seen good and bad about how companies have been run. So I can also tell you that I think I've drawn from that as well.
And you've also you talk a little bit about your work with the Summerlin South Little League. So tell us more about that. You kind of brush on it in your resume and your website, but you really don't talk about what it is that you do for the Summerlin South Little League.
Well, I haven't done it for a couple of years, but I can tell you that I did it, and I heard you and Judge Bullard talking about how you got into AYSO soccer. I did the same thing. I showed up, and you don't know how it's going to work, and you realize you're sitting around at a table going, well, who's going to coach this team? And you start coaching because these groups are volunteer based. So when I went to Summerlin South, they asked, how do you want to get involved in the program? At the time, there's a couple hundred of players that were there, and it was a very small, one of the small leagues that were out there. But anyway, I showed up, I said I would coach my son's team, and then I heard there was a board meeting. So a couple of days later, I went to the board meeting, and they were picking the new president and the new board of directors at that time. And I said, well, wait a second, that's not exactly what I was looking for. But nobody would step up and wanted to be president of that league. And I said, you know what, somebody finally, who was on the league for years, said she would be president. And I said, okay, fine, I'll be vice president. It's a 2-year position, and I'll watch, I'll learn. I feel like you have to have that basis to be able to do that. Next day, she resigned. So that left me at president, and it was a good 6-year run, off and on. People like Rob McCoy, I don't know if you know Rob, but he's a fine litigator in town, was my predecessor. He followed me afterwards, but I was on that board of directors for 6 years. We turned it into about 200 players to one of the biggest. Rob, I think, had it before he left at almost 1,100 players by the time we were done. It was very profitable. It turns out we started traveling across the country, and we started competing for the Little League World Series and doing those types of things that we were never able to do. And it kind of shows a little bit of my background, that I'll jump in, I will try to do the best I can and take over a position and lead as best as I possibly can and bring really strong people in to help me, because I grew my board to about 25 people just to get more people involved. And it was just a great experience. I look back on that. My son, actually, in the middle of my tenure, said he didn't want to play baseball anymore. And
Okay.
I said, so you start fighting that and going, oh, do I make him do this? He's going to hate me if I do this. So I let him not play, and I'm the president of the league. And I'm like, wait a second, he's not even playing anymore. And I'm doing this for our community and making it better. Ultimately, he found his way back to it. He started college, and I understand that he's actually playing on a club team up and trying out for his team up in Utah, where he's playing baseball now. And he hasn't played since high school. He ran track and did other things in high school. So, you build that base for your children, and hopefully they go back to the right reasons to go back to doing that. And he did that. So it was nice to see, actually.
Well, that's really amazing. And Trevor Akin wanted to know, are the Padres going to beat the Dodgers this year?
Um, well, Trevor's I think he's a San Francisco Giants fan, if I'm not mistaken, but
Yeah.
the Padres are going to have a tough time if they don't get their pitchers back. If they were healthy, I think we'd have a really good shot. So I'm not gonna call my shot, but I can tell you that they're playing very well. They're an exciting team, and I really miss seeing them. I went to law school in San Diego, and I also had another class down there that I had the general manager of the Padres was my teacher in my sports law class. That was when Jerry Maguire came out. And I was in law school, and Jerry Maguire came out, and I wanted to be a sports agent after watching that movie. It looked like the best thing ever. So I took this sports law class. Of course, I was a little delusional about what I wanted to do, but it turns out I really fell into being a litigator, and that was really where my passion is, because I want to be in court. And even trying 2 to 5 cases, that doesn't sound like much to the general public, but people on the call know that's a lot of trials for people to do. Some of these trials last a month or 2 months that I've done. And that is a lot of trials, but it's not enough. I think Trevor has probably tried, Judge Atkin, excuse me, I got to stop doing that. Judge Atkin has probably tried more cases per month that he's done as a judge than he has as a litigator, and he tried a lot of cases. And I can tell you that that's what I want. I want to be in court. I want to make sure that the process is fair for everybody, and I want to make sure that people are following the rules and being held accountable to not following the rules.
So other than your experience, the Nevada Republican Club has always treasured the judicial demeanor as being really important, because a lot of litigants are going to be pro se or pro se, and they're in there by themselves. How would you describe your personality when you are dealing with someone on the other side who's not represented by counsel?
That usually doesn't happen in my area of practice, but I have had it happen in a variety of cases that I do volunteer work. And I volunteer as a child advocate, representing children who are abused and neglected in the foster care system, where they need a voice in the system. And a lot of times the parents don't have representation. And their rights are being terminated. So sometimes they'll get appointed. But my demeanor, I think it's kind of, again, I think it has to do with experience. And I think that by being a short trial judge over the years, by arbitrating hundreds of cases over the years, by being a justice of the peace pro tem, have given me a different light. I mean, as an advocate, you're a different person. I'm passionate. I will tell you that. And my passion has always been for representing my client, especially if I think I'm not especially, but when I think I'm right. If I think I'm wrong, I'm going to concede it. And I don't appreciate using the system as a game. And as a judge, I'm going to make sure that people are held accountable to making sure that they're, again, following the rules, but also making sure that we're not using the system as a game. These are people's lives we're dealing with. These are corporations, businesses that we're dealing with, and it needs to be taken seriously. And we need not to just throw something up there and hope that it sticks. And I think that I'm going to make sure that people are accountable to that. I believe that it's a hat and a role I'll be able to wear well. I do it at home with my children. As we all know, raising children is a good basis for demeanor. They come in and they do and say things that you want to just react in a certain way, but you have to do it differently, because you know that in the end it's best for everybody to make sure everyone has a say, and you develop a demeanor that I think will be able to help. And I can't say that I haven't done things in the past. And I'm probably, as an advocate, I probably would be over the top, and people would look at it and say, well, that would be a bad judge to do that. But I think when you're in that role, I think that's important for you to do that. You're supposed to be fighting for your clients, and you're supposed to be passionate for them. And as a judge, you will have, and I will have, a different role to take, and I'll take that very, very seriously to make sure that we have an equal and fair process for everyone.
Now, we talk about heroes a lot because heroes kind of inform the kind of person we want to be. Who is your non-judicial hero?
Well, it's my father. I think that he is somebody who, like I said, he immigrated to this country, built a great life for us. He started a business when I was just 12 or 13 years old. He started a business here in town. He was in the casino business, but he built up a business and started a dream. And he started a deli, a Jewish deli on the west side of town, which at the time wasn't they didn't have any on the west side of town. There was a couple on the east side, but they didn't have any on the west side. And it's called the Fiddler on the Roof. And anyway, long story led to me wanting to become more of an advocate and becoming an attorney is when that restaurant unfortunately didn't survive. Didn't last a year. It really, that was the demise of kind of the family group that I had. I talked earlier about me leaving home at 15 and a half, and that kind of started the whole process because of litigation afterwards. My parents at that time did not have the ability to be able to afford attorneys and be able to have the ability to be able to fight some of the things that were going on. So it really tore us apart. But I've watched him just scrape and crawl and be able to do that. I have a lot of legal heroes as well. But you asked for non-heroes. I think that would be my number one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Well, where did he immigrate from? Just question.
This is a strange answer, but he doesn't really know. He was about 6 or 7 years old. And they were traveling across Europe, mainly through Germany or Poland and trying to escape Nazi Germany. And his parents came over here and were able to legally immigrate here. That he tells me stories of on that boat. He was 6 or 7 years old, and he remembers the stench of the boats that they had and how people were just basically taken over by cattle. And he came through Ellis Island where he stood in lines for days coming through. And ultimately, I say he doesn't know because he wasn't able to find his birth certificate. And when he tried to get a passport, he had to he went through almost a 9-month process to be able to get that. His brother was even younger and they came over. And he doesn't know because his parents, they didn't talk about that a lot. And they died when he was 17 years old. Both of his parents did. His father died when he was 15, and his mom, ironically, died at similar ages that I was talking about. His mom had a stroke and was in the hospital, and he took care of his brother when he was in high school and still went to college. So that's why I consider him a hero as well, because he really fought through some of that. But it's kind of a parallel system to my life, to be honest with you. I had those same struggles when I was younger, but it made me stronger. And it made me the person who I am. So I don't regret any of it, but I think that we all do the best we can to make our kids have a different life, of course, and hopefully my kids value that as well.
Well, it sounds like your parents, your grandparents, and yourself have really gone through a lot of hardship and a lot of challenges, which is wonderful in a sense, because then you get to understand the challenges that regular people have. And we've experienced, particularly since March 15th, this challenge of this COVID pandemic shutdown. What challenges have you experienced? And then what challenges have you seen that related to this COVID shutdown?
Well, I think like everybody, there have been ebbs and flows of it, right? Which is also a problem. We all like steadiness in our lives, and unfortunately there's been a lot of ebbs and flows. The number one thing that's really been disheartening to me is watching what's going on with my kids. My kids were graduating high school. My son was a runner and was actually gotten looked at for recruiting for some scholarships, but also just to make some teams in Division I. And he wasn't able to run his final year of track, which would have been his eminent year. He did win, state championship a couple of times in cross country, and he did get a couple of looks and ultimately turned down the running scholarships that he was offered. But the reality was it was hard to see that. My daughter chose a school that is not in class. It's in California. It's in San Diego, and they're not having classes. So she's here with us, which is for her, it's very, very mentally draining because she doesn't get to do the things even her own brother, who's a twin, is doing, which is going to a dorm and experiencing some of the things at college. So those things have been really tough. The online school part of it has been easy for them. My kids have been homeschooled for years. Ever since second grade. We tried some of the private schools here in town, tried some of the public schools. My wife has got a master's in elementary ed, and we thought early on in second grade that it would be good to homeschool them. Ultimately, they went through an international online school, a certified program that they graduated high school from, that they really enjoyed. So the online stuff, they're actually teaching the teachers how to use the online program. They're frustrated on the online stuff because the teachers don't even know how to post grades. They don't know how to post the stuff. They don't know what they're doing on the college stuff. It's really been kind of crazy, but they've been doing it for almost 6-7 years now, which is kind of interesting. So those things have been kind of trying for us. My kids are definitely having an adjustment, which is also causing me an adjustment. I'm working in my home office here, which I've done for many years with my kids in homeschooling, but it's hard to keep those boundaries with them being home all the time. So we're trying to do that. Plus, I'm really struggling, and I'll be honest with you, I'm struggling with worried about other people out there. My father, like I talked about, and although I believe that people have the right to be able to choose how they want to present themselves and be in groups, whatever they want to do, I'm just more on the nervous side and less risk adverse side, and trying to take a little bit more of approach with that. So that also comes to a head with running for judge, because there's a lot of in-person meetings that, I don't know if I feel comfortable going to, and others that I feel very comfortable going to. And I want to make sure that everybody's safe all around, not only me, but everybody else. And so it's a real struggle in that sense, because it's all kind of come to a divisive manner out there. And that really bothers me, that it has to be so divided. And I'd rather just everybody kind of just figure it out and get along and do whatever you want to do. And don't really, hold people, don't shame them for doing what they want to do. I mean, Dave's over here smoking a cigar, but he's in his garage, I see. So, I mean, some people would say, why are you smoking in your garage? Go smoke in your house. I mean, let him smoke, do what he wants to do, right? I mean, let him do what he wants to do. And that's what I think. So anyway.
Well, I want to give a shout out to some of the other candidates and judges that we are supporting as a club. And that's Jim Davis. Hi, Jim. And Judge Rhonda Forsberg, and of course, Judge Atkin. We always ask a question to get to know you a little bit more and a little bit deeper, and that is, what is your favorite cuisine?
So that's difficult for me because I'm gluten, dairy, and pork free. So that makes it quite difficult, doesn't it? I have some food allergies that really, and also talked about my family. My dad is the only family member that I have that's lived into his 70s. All of my relatives, grandparents, aunts, uncles, a lot of them have all passed away in their 50s and 60s. So in my early 30s, I started trying to be proactive with that. That's why I see your husband a couple times over the years, and making sure, because I have pre-existing genetics that I'm concerned about. So I gave up gluten, I gave up dairy, and I gave up pork for a variety of reasons. So for me, spaghetti and meatballs, it's the best thing I can do. And they do make gluten-free pasta, or they even make a cauliflower pasta. And they make this vegan cheese now, the Parmesan cheese that you can put on there. It's my favorite. So I could eat that every day. My second favorite is probably tacos, and I can do that probably every other day. So those are my two favorite. I'm simple. I'm simple that way.
That's great, because it's Taco Tuesdays.
Yes.
So everyone go out and get a taco today. Anyways, this concludes our great interview with Adam Ganz, who is a candidate for District Court Judge 3. I want to remind everyone that if you have a friend who didn't have a chance to make it to the Zoom interview, all of our Zoom interviews are uploaded to our Nevada Republican Club YouTube. Again, that's Nevada Republican Club YouTube. And you can also catch us on Facebook and on our Twitter feed. I want to remind everyone that our recommended slate of candidates is on our website at www.nevadarepublicanclub.com. And of course, you can also find our slate on our Facebook page. We have our luncheon tomorrow. We hope that we will see most of you there, if not all of you there. Adam, any last words to say to everybody?
Well, I mean, with my deepest thanks, I want to thank the Nevada Republican Club. You set the tone early on by endorsing me. You showed that me and there was 2 other candidates in my race that I was the best candidate in this race. Not only I think Pauline, because you know me, but also because you understand that I'm going to be a good judge. I have the experience. I had twice as many years of experience as my opponents combined. Excuse me, not twice as many as combined, but twice as many as my current opponent. And there's the 2 primary opponents I had more experience than they did combined. And many, many more trials than they did, much breadth of air of cases that they do. So I just want to say thank you very much. Deeply appreciate you and your club for the endorsement, and I wear it proudly. And I'll make sure that I don't let you down when I am a judge. And just thank you everyone for supporting me.
And just to remind everyone that we conducted 12 hours of judicial interviews to come up with the slate of candidates. And we also reviewed all the review journal debates for the primaries. So our picks were pretty well researched, and we really had hard interviews of many of the candidates. So I encourage everyone to pick up our slate and take a look at it. We really think the judges that we picked will be the best judges. And next week, we will be featuring Justice Court Chris Lee from North Las Vegas. We haven't had Chris Lee on the show, and we hope that you will join us while we interview Chris Lee. So have a great day, everyone. Hope to see you tomorrow at our luncheon. Have a good one, everybody. And thank you, Rudy. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.